Way, Open Emerson Square in Georgetown and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Buenas tardes, mi amigas, mi amigos. Tal vez español, señor Tinita. No, you didn't tune into, Radio Havana, but it would be nice if you did. And no, it's not April the 1st, but it's a little taste of Cayman as you get a chance to share with you not only the beauty and the bounty, but the blessings and I think true food as we talk about the taste of Cayman with, Executive Director of the Cayman Islands Tourism Association, Mr. J. Ehrhart. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990. 949-8037 or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back. And, I must say, and I'll be mindful as I say it, but as I look across the table, one of our former hosts at the Talk Today, and our news director, I think.
Long time ago, man. Long time ago. But yes, it's nice to be home, actually.
You feel at home?
I do, yeah. It's nice to be home, actually.
From the shores of Tampa to Little Cayman.
Yeah, exactly. And I still get all the warm welcome from my family. It's always nice to see everybody's.
You should saw what we were doing when we heard you were coming.
Oh, did you clean up? No, I couldn't.
It's the same. But it's that laughter and that banter that makes, work fun.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And sometimes it makes fun work because nobody's doing it, right? You got to do it. And when we think of where we are in human history, but even in the context of the Cayman Islands, a lot of good things. And aptly named the taste of Cayman. I remember the early days of it, even on what is not the safe haven lawn that's being developed.
Yep.
It's come a long way, man.
Yeah, man. Even before when it was at that I guess not quite safe haven, but it was that little empty parking lot. That's still an empty parking lot near the Ritz-Carlton in the Falls Shopping Center.
Right there.
Yeah, right there.
Right
is that still, because they also did it across the way at Safe Haven, I think, as well.
Yeah. So the very first days, and it was interesting. You walk in amongst the field, and it was good.
Yeah, I think this is our 36th year, and I was talking to people, and I think this might be my 25th one that I've been to since I've been on island. So I think there was a couple of years I was off island, but on my old radio show days when I was the news director here, I would go and cover it on behalf of the station, and then I just became a fan and kept going because I liked it, and then I'd help out people and be behind the stalls and helping them serve food and drinks and such.
It's not scripted, but if I may ask, of course,
we go way back.
So do we, from the toddler days of Tampa as we travel. No, just kidding. From two perspectives, you go in there as just as a foodie, go in there as work in terms of your news, and then now as the director of the Tourism Association. What is it like? What's different? What's similar?
Well, I think the experience is better. I must say that being on the Festival Green is a truly amazing location for the Taste of Cayman, and it's been the home now for many, many years. I can't even count how many years back. But the interesting perspective that I brought to it as the executive director of the Cayman Islands Tourism Association is that I did want to expand it. I think the Taste of Cayman is a fantastic event. I don't think it showcased it. I mean, it has showcased Cayman enough, but I wanted to expand it a little bit more. I wanted it to be a true tourism destination event as well, which is what we do at the Cayman Islands Tourism Association. So we decided to do the Tasty Cayman with a side of black eyed peas. So Friday night, we're bringing international, world-renowned, 12-time Grammy Award nominee, 6-time Grammy Award nomination winner. That's a total of 18 Grammys they've been nominated for, to the Cayman Islands for people to enjoy on Friday night. So it's a Tasty Cayman with a side of black eyed peas. And then we've got the actual taste on Saturday, and we're making it more Caymanian, and we're having it more of a good time. And we're starting with one of the best Caymanian bands in the Cayman Islands with Swanky on Saturday night.
There you go, man. When I heard about Black Eyed Peas, I go, what? Can I get a double portion? Because I actually thought it was food.
No, yeah, exactly. It's delicious.
But it's music, right?
Well, it's a little bit of both. It's tantalizing your earbuds and taste buds at the same time.
Music for the soul, food for the soul.
Exactly.
And I was saying that because those of us that maybe have been to Grant Park in Chicago for their taste. Looking at the Cayman context, looking at that Hyde Park in Tampa, when they do the Jazz on the Green.
Yeah, but you're talking about cities that got millions in population compared to now we're at 80,000, so maybe a little bit more now probably.
120 probably close.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're that close.
Okay, 118,576.
Yeah.
But I'm not counting. No, but
that's just the number of cars.
But it's interesting because those two sort of cities, right, larger, millions of people, and concept, the setting, and here we have a relative small number, still thousands attending. Conceptually, it's the same thing. The idea that a group like Black Eyed Peas, as over the years, many different international renowned groups that have come, it just shows you the attractiveness of the island, but also the demand, the ability for people to engage. As an aside, I mean, the Cayman Arts Festival having on another series of events. So it just shows you how the society is maturing, evolving.
Well, I mean, even the concerts that are coming up after this Taste of Cayman with the Capella and the Out of the World and all of the caliber and quality of artists that are being brought down now are tremendous, and we're becoming a little concert destination as well now. So it's kind of nice. And when you have somebody like the Ironwood Studio in downtown that can produce and produce some fantastic music for musicians, then that makes us just another little tick in the box for us.
I think it speaks, for both of us, our perspective that any space should have the very best it can, and it should always excel to achieve. Enjoy and celebrate what you have, but always try to raise the bar. For me, the restaurants in Cayman are renowned in the region, globally celebrated. Some of the chefs that are renowned to make it.
I am hard pressed to find a bad meal in Cayman. I'm always, and I don't try to find a bad meal, but I try a lot of different restaurants. And there's, I don't go. We talk about Tampa, we talk about other cities in the States. I don't order chicken wings when I'm up there doing the Hooters or the chain restaurants up there, because I know I've got the best wings in the Cayman Islands right here in Cayman. In the world, I got them right here in Cayman. So I don't even bother trying them because I know they're not going to be as good as my little hometown chicken wing place. So
and this is it, man. This is where that new restaurant can come out and introduce itself, or that well-established one can come out. And as we, as the consumers go, and not only dictate but have to define the landscape, we raise the bar. Food is not just about sitting and conswobbling. Food is about fellowship.
Yeah, it's not nourishment, just nourishment anymore. It's all about camaraderie, and you're right, and just being with other people, and it's a celebration. And that's why I love the Taste of Cayman. I love what it does, and I love that it's bringing thousands of people together I call it the best backyard picnic that you've ever been to, but you don't have to cook.
It's not like when I go over my brother's place, man. Right. I just show up and hey.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. All of your family's going to be at Tasty Cayman anyway, so you might as well just go and have a good time. And then there's a free band as well that you get to listen to. Well, not free, but you know what I mean.
There you go, man. So after the break, tell us a little bit more about it. The venue, the event.
You bet.
Can we get tickets and where and tickets through?
Yeah, we got some tickets still.
Yeah, I think Susan has some samples that we can share.
Oh, yummy.
Or she had some samples that she shared.
Where's the food? You didn't, what?
Susan, just holding it on you, Jay. All right, we're going to talk about Taste of Cayman at 1 o'clock. Our friends at UCCI got something up Culturama, and then autism with our friends at UCCI, followed by autism with HSA at 1:30. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square, and I got find my way to Barbados. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana, plus Barbados. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. We're talking to the Executive Director for the Cayman Tourism Association, Jay Ehrhart, and I must say there are many who still call me and say, "Hey, Jay, how's the show?" I'm like,
hey, there's still people out there that call me Val.
Yeah, well, it's probably the resemblance. No, I just kidding, man. It just shows how people have not only a long memory, but they still maintain a connection. And it's kind of why I think Taste of Cayman thus far has been, no pun, but a staple.
No pun necessary. No, it has, and it's a great opportunity for, like I said, for camaraderie and fellowship and people getting together. I mean, and it's a great way for you to try a new favorite restaurant as well. I know people, you're a West Bayer. I don't know the last time you were out by Grand Harbor, but you're probably not very recent.
You want to take a bet on that?
No, I don't want to. But normal. So you probably haven't been to the Allura or Aria restaurants that are out there by Grand Harbor right now that are taking part in Taste of Cayman. But then just the same, people that live in Grand Harbor probably haven't been out to Vivo out in West Bay and tried their food. Yeah. So it's a great way for people to come together at the Festival Green and experience restaurants from around the island that they might not have tried before and find a new favorite, hopefully.
See, I think you were saying, have you been to Hurley's or Healthcare Pharmacy? But no, but you are right, because we tend to live, work, and sort of stay within our little bubble, right?
Yeah.
I love food. I love to cook. The kitchen is somewhere I truly enjoy and relax. And to be able to go from Vivo, as you referenced, to a lower, but even out further, I stop into the fish fry many times, and it's what makes the community, the food. You look around, you see people, and almost recognize that we're habitual creatures, right? So for those who, like you, probably have not missed, but for when they're absent from the island, there's some that this is the one thing that they make sure to attend.
Yeah. It's always one of the things I always go to. So, and it's going to be fantastic. And right now, if you buy both for one night, the Friday night ticket and the Saturday night ticket, so buy general admission for the Friday night Taste of the Black Eyed Peas, and then you buy a general admission for Saturday Taste of Cayman. You bundle it through the website tasteofcayman.org. It's tasteofcayman.org, and you can save 10% on both tickets right now.
Okay,
so it's a good deal.
10%. I mean, what? Not a bad deal.
Yeah, I can't complain with everything is going on. And we might be able to give a couple of tickets away shortly. We'll see.
We can, Susan.
Yeah,
and we can probably get Susan to hand deliver the tickets as well with her aunt.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
No, man, she could. I'm sure she could put on her gown and go out as Aunt Class. There you go. Service with a smile.
There you go.
All right. Well, Taste of Cayman. I mean, for those who don't know or who just tune in, remind us when.
It's this weekend. It's Friday night and Saturday night. Friday night is the Black Eyed Peas. Saturday night is the actual Taste of Cayman, and it's a full lineup of a lot of things that are going on. I mean, just at the Taste of Cayman, gates open at 5, and we really start right away with children's face painting and giant games, and Spider-Man and Cinderella are going to be there. We're going to have some pirates and all of the cultural demonstrations that came in, carnival costumes and beauty queens. And then our good friends are going to try some conch horn blowing. And then we'll have the Cayman Youth Choir. We'll have some sweet treats from visiting international chefs, thatch rope demonstrations, farm to fork, a nice Maureen Cubbin chef demonstration up on the main stage there. Then the Marie Martin Principal School Choir. And I'm so glad they renamed it for her. By the way, I'm so glad they renamed that school.
And they got it right this time.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Miss Marie.
and I think something you're going to really enjoy is we're going to have soldier crab races.
Yeah?
Yeah. When was the last time you had... I can remember the last time I saw a soldier crab race.
I remember I hang out with Deal and Ree.
Yeah.
So...
you saw it yesterday weekend. Anyway, so for those of you who haven't seen a soldier crab race, we've got that going on about 6:30 that evening. And then we have the heavy cake and Cayman-style beef competition winners at 6:40. And by the way, if you're close by to the stage when we announce winners, that's when we let other people eat the beef and heavy cake that's been submitted. So just
a secret.
Yeah, just between you and I.
Be close.
And then, of course, we got the Love You Like Cook Food. Another one of our international chefs is going to do a demonstration up there. Then we're going to have the Radiance Dance Studio, the Cayman Islands Folk Singer starting at 7, the mixology competition at 7:30, and Swanky Kitchen Band will kick off at 7:30 as well. That's all Saturday. Fireworks at 9:15, and Rico Rolando is going to be at 9:20. So we're trying to make this a true Caymanian event and make sure that that we celebrate everything that's the heritage, the culture, everything that possibly could be in Cayman. That's why we call it All Things Cayman.
And I gather there's almost 40 restaurants participating.
Yeah, there is, and it's a huge amount. I think I have a list here: Aria, Alora, Agave, and it's not in about alphabetical order, by the way. Benny Pasta, The Hive, St. June at the Ritz-Carlton, Island Taste, Simboco, Steak Social, Bike Club, Burger Shack, Cayman Cabana, 7 Fathoms, Hurley's, Vivo, Ala Kebab, Tortuga, and many, many more. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I know that we had issues with the payment system at last year's Taste, so we tried to make it as simple as possible. So even when you get your entrance ticket to get into the festival, you'll get some food and beverage vouchers. And once those are gone, just use your credit and debit card just like you would use it anywhere else in Cayman. So you just use that and boom, it should be a lot quicker. But if you say you're bringing the family, you've got all the kids, you got everybody there, and you want to go get more of those food vouchers to help the kids go get some food, then you can still go buy some of those vouchers and use those throughout the night. So that's not an issue.
those tokens, and you can give them, the children the independence to just go off and get
exactly
what this one wants versus what the other.
Exactly.
Without having to give them both a debit card.
Yeah. So Friday night we kick off. We open the gates at 7. Bands start at 8 with Dan Ebanks. You know Danny Loops, Danny Ebanks, fantastic local performer. You hear him often here on Radio Cayman because he's that good. And then the Neverines kick off at 9, and that's going to be pretty fun. They're a great rock and roll band, indie rock, and they do a great job. DJ RKM at 10, and then the Black Eyed Peas are going to be performing a show that just like you would see in Miami, Chicago, the whole backstage is all set up. It's pyrotechnics, lasers, the whole 9 yards. It's going to be a show, and a full 90 minutes of the Black Eyed Peas. It is. Wow. It's a say you're going to Miami. You want to go see the Black Eyed Peas. So that's what, $500 in air tickets for you and the wife, and then you got to buy the tickets to the show. That's another $500 each probably, and then you got dinner, hotel, car rental. So you're up $2,000, $3,000 probably just to go see them. And it's the exact same show you can see here with maybe 5,000 or 6,000 people instead of 55,000 or 60,000 people in Miami. So it's a great opportunity to just go out and have a great time with your friends.
So I'm thinking is you can give me the $3,000, I'll buy you the tickets, and you're good to go. Everybody's happy. I get some money.
Well, it's good. I'm a guy. I like to go to concerts. I was saying I went to Billy Joel in New York earlier last year.
MSG, yeah.
Yeah, it was great. We had a great time. But again, it's tickets to the city, and then you're in the city in the hotel and everything else. But if you like going to concerts and you like the Black Eyed Peas, there will be no better place to watch it than right here in the Cayman Islands.
And it's something that we have friends who are in the musical industry, and they keep sharing with us that increasingly, not only are they working and honing their craft, but the equipment, the engineer, the sound, everything else. We see the standard, the quality, the expertise, just raising the bar. So we as the concert goer here, we have an expectation because we've traveled elsewhere. It's the same thing. The quality is amazing.
It really is. I mean, the show that they're going to put on, and I've been intimately involved with what the production is like, and it's going to be pretty darn good. I can't say enough things about it. You need to go to tasteofcayman.org and buy your tickets now, because I think we're going to charge more on Friday, the day of.
Usually, I mean,
that's normally how it happens. Yeah. But it's if you really want to go and you're thinking about it, just go buy your ticket right now, because it's going to be, you're going to be sitting there on Monday and you didn't go, and everybody around you is going to be talking about how great it is. Do you want to be that guy or that girl?
And word on the street is that you might actually be doing a special performance during that concert.
Oh, I'm going to be dancing, but nobody wants to see that.
Get your cameras. This is going to make good content for you, your social media.
Nobody wants to see that. I'm definitely behind-the-scenes radio kind of guy.
This is where they put the cameras in the studio with time for exit, huh? You were smart. Oh, man. But it's great because in the context of attracting visitors to our shows, or for us who have friends from overseas who want to visit, sometimes you feel that they're just a stand to see in the sun that attracts us. But here is an opportunity for a weekend of not just a culinary experience, but a musical extravaganza in a sense.
And that's one of the things I wanted to do when I first took over the role of the executive director of CITA, is to expand Taste of Cayman to a 2 or 3 day festival. I'd like for the international chefs, who I'll talk about in a moment, that are coming down, to do a Thursday night dinner, and then do the demonstration on Saturday. And we have a Sunday brunch this year, and we all know Cayman loves to brunch. So we're going to have a nice brunch going on with these 2 international chefs. So I wanted it to be a destination event for our tourism industry, so that we can lock it in and say, guests, you need to come down for this.
Yeah, and it's a good time, right after Easter, right before some of the other holidays in the U.S. primarily, but even our own.
Yep.
And then people come down. They spend 3 to 5 days. They relax. Get over the tax season in the U.S. When you're working, you recognize how stressful life has become. A good evening of food and music kind of makes it worth it, right?
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this weekend for a long time, but I've been working hard for it. But I'm going on vacation afterwards, sister.
Like I said. All right, when we get back from this break, Jay, tell us about the international chefs. Could we ask, when you're looking at who to select, where do you go and why do you select who you do? Because we are increasingly recognizing that more and more people are discovering Cayman, understand that when they come, whatever it is that they were expecting to get is surpassed when they do arrive.
Agreed.
The friendliness, the safety, the hospitality is renowned, but sometimes that technical skill, expertise, or the little extras that they need to do what they're supposed to be doing, getting paid for, I'm told increasingly they're surprised. Wow, small island, you have access to this?
Yeah.
Even, exotic foods at times.
Yeah, and you don't even have to go to the Ritz-Carlton to get it. It's pretty darn good.
There you go, man. All right, with Susan's consent and direction, we're going to take this next break. And when we come back, the executive director of the Cayman Tourism Association will tell us some more about not only the taste of Cayman, but as he said, with a side dish of black-eyed peas. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh. Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Hey there, Cayman. Have a few minutes to spare? Your Ministry for Housing has just launched the public survey for the Cayman Islands Housing Policy and Strategic Plan. We are all about making our island home even better. We need your help. It's your thoughts and ideas that will shape our housing policies for the future. Your voice matters, and it's easy to get involved. Just visit cihousingplan.org and let your voice be heard. Plus, you could catch some cool gift cards just for sharing your ideas. Don't miss out. Open through April 16th. Head to cihousingplan.org or go to the ministry's Facebook, Instagram, X, or LinkedIn now and be a part of the conversation. Your input matters more than you know. Let's make Cayman's housing future brighter. Together, your voice, your future. Take the survey today.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet. Because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. And I got find my way to Barbados. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana, plus Barbados. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to J. Ehrhart, not only as the executive director of the Tourism Association, but coming on and laughing with us, reminiscent to some extent.
I miss it, man. It's like I said, I feel like I'm home. You haven't remodeled in a while, so it's nice. It reminds me of the last time I was here.
There's a joke I would say, man, we get a government budget, but no, man. I won't do that.
No, I mean, come on, Radio Cayman is fantastic. How many years now? Radio Cayman is like...
Radio Cayman is what, 50 years, right? Almost in the making?
I can't remember.
Almost 50 years.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, we're a few years shy of 50.
There you go.
Susan, what are you telling us?
Like my age. We got a call?
We have a call. Should we take the call?
Sure, why not? I love talking to people.
All right, well...
Anybody but you.
Okay. Let's take this call nonetheless. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling. How are you?
Good afternoon.
And good
afternoon.
We better behave, G. Can you fire him again, sir?
Hey.
How are you, sir?
I better not answer that.
I can make him laugh, you see?
Yeah, exactly.
On the radio. Thanks for listening, sir. Thanks for listening.
Anyway, but I listened to the discourse on the Taste of Cayman this morning, and I've been listening a little bit this afternoon, and I think the process has developed over the years to now, it's the old people say a big thing.
Mm-hmm,
okay?
mm-hmm.
But thinking about where it came from, and you hear no mention of those people who really worked hard to put this thing on the table.
And I agree. Unfortunately, we don't give Mr. Flowers enough credit for the work that he did put into the Taste of Cayman and the Cayman Islands Tourism Association. Unfortunately, we only have a short period of time when we're here, and we do have a lot to talk about. But you're absolutely right, Mr. Banks. There's a ton of people that started this and made this happen that we don't talk about anymore.
But why shouldn't you talk about it? I mean, Radio Cayman itself was very instrumental in getting this thing off the ground.
That I did not know. Yeah, but I know that Mike Flowers did a fantastic job of getting this all together back when it was just the Restaurant Association. Prior to the amalgamation and the formation of the Cayman Islands Tourism Association back in 2000, the Taste was a growing and vibrant event. They gave away cars every year.
Well, another name that you should also always remember in there was Sissy Delapino.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
I think she floated the idea as far back as 1984.
Well, that's a little before my time, Mr. Banks, but I'm glad we have you around to tell us.
I realize that, but this is supposed to be an informational program, and you got to get the information out.
Yes, sir. No, you're absolutely right. And we have the Mike Flowers Memorial chili cook-off, because that was part of the thing that he started with Taste of Cayman as well back in the day. So that it's not part of the Cayman Islands Tourism Association, but another event that has highlighted his contribution to the Cayman Islands over the years.
Well, both Sissy and Mike is going on, but I think Susie Soto was also on the early part of it, and there are all kind of names: Clements, Tony, and Graham Thompson. He was in on the early part of it. But I mean, you can't omit these things in this kind of situation, because what's happening to the Cayman heritage, Cayman history, is getting buried. And if you don't keep it afloat, then, goodbye, Hannah.
Thanks again, sir.
Thank you, Lucky.
Thanks. Not yet.
But he's right, though. There are... for 36 years, this has been around, and it was in the workings probably for a year or two before it actually happened. And there have been so many people involved with the CITA over those years, whether it was the original executive directors and or like the Mike Flowers of the world, who actually put the sweat and tears into it.
Yeah, in those early days, I mean, of anything, sort of the formative years, and then as it grows, it may become something that takes on a life of its own, or it may falter. But for those who share the vision, now the Festival Green, I think, is a space that many flock to for different events. A couple of listeners are asking about parking, talk about the location and some of the logistics relative to, is there a shuttle service? One of our listeners
that's a great question. I don't know off the top of it. If you go to tasteofcayman.org, that will tell you about the shuttle, if there is a shuttle service. I can't recall one being right now. But then again, I'm not as involved in the that kind of aspect of the running of the actual Taste of Cayman itself. We help a group, a team called Tower Marketing to take care of that kind of stuff for us. But there is VIP parking. There is regular parking right around the festival green. There's 2 different parking lots that are there specifically set up for us. And, of course, all of Cayman Bay is the parking will be available there for Taste of Cayman. But if you do buy the VIP, you get a special deal with the parking and such as well. Yeah. But it's all I can say is get there early, and that way you're all good, you know. But it's going to be a very fun night. Like I said, it's going to be 5,000 of your closest friends hanging out and enjoying a good concert.
Yep.
It's all, yeah. So let's, I wanted to, I know I'm going to run out close on time here. I don't know.
That's good.
How do you want to do it? How do you want to give away? Like just the third caller or something like that?
Hey, Susan, you want to give me this is...
Two premium tickets to Friday night's Black Eyed Peas.
Okay, she wants to ask a question. What's Susan's middle name?
Ooh, I don't even know that. Do I?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, do you? Well, you yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, she's asking, like how many years? What's Susan's middle name? Let's vote for a question.
Okay.
Who's going to be the next premier?
Ooh. Well, we have to give those out next year then, the tickets.
Norman's going to pull me and say, I don't know what you were, if you had your coffee or not, but don't drink it if you didn't. All right, so you want to give 2 tickets together or one?
No. Let's give it a pair of tickets.
A pair of tickets?
Yeah, let's give you a pair of tickets.
And this is
it's a $600 value.
$600 value, right? To a caller that, how long have I been hosting Talk Today?
Oh, that's a good question. How long have you been hosting Talk Today?
All right. Susan, we can do that. So,
no?
Jay, is that okay with you? So, to the caller.
Yeah, because, I mean,
for $600
I could say name 2 Black Eyed Peas songs, but they might come up with anything, and I'd be like, I have to search and look
exactly.
So,
all
yeah.
Right. So, how long have I been hosting Talk Today? And you got 2 tickets.
We'll get write the names down of the people. 2 premium tickets, valued at $300 each.
All right.
So just a pair, one pair of tickets.
949-837 or 949-6990.
There you go.
We have a caller. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling. How are you?
I'm fine. 36 years for Taste of Cayman.
Right. Okay.
This is for the Black Eyed Peas concert.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
I want to go for
it's free.
I've been waiting. I need to have some fresh on my eyes because I've been home all this time. So I really want to come.
Okay.
Yeah. Boy, there's a part of me to make. So the question is, how long have I been hosting? Because Jay used to host the show, right?
Oh, yeah, a long time ago.
And I've been hosting it for a while. So the answer to that question gets you 2 tickets. And it's $600, man. I mean, you can buy a politician for cheaper than that. So there you go.
So they actually, oh my God.
Let's get that.
I'm so busy thinking about how long you've been on the show because I'm trying to remember when I left. Because you took over right after I did. Yeah. But yes, it took me a second to register.
People are too serious. Okay, Susan, wait a caller. Yes, ma'am. What's the answer?
I thought it was for this. Is that you're celebrating 36 years of
the Taste of Cayman?
That's correct. Yeah. But how many years has Sterling been host of Talk Today?
Maybe 25 years.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
After today, not anymore.
For trying.
Oh, but thank you for trying.
Tell Jay to give me for trying. Yeah, tell Jay to give me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But good effort, I mean. You see, the school system is failing students because they just show up and get an E. You got to earn it these days, man. It doesn't work. All right. Well, we can do it.
Else?
We can do it. Another caller?
We'll get one.
All right, 949-837, 94969. It's Friday night. Today's only Tuesday, right?
And Susan, if somebody calls and gets it right, after I'm out of the studio, just let me know. We'll take care of it.
We'll fix it up, man.
Man.
No, but it's the laughter.
Yeah, I love it, man. I miss you guys. I miss being here. But, I mean, Taste of Cayman is something. Oh, and I didn't even talk about the 2 visiting chefs. Ron Ben Israel is coming. He is most world-famous cake maker in, you know who talking, you know who he is, don't you? You're a foodie. Look at you. You watch those cake shows, don't you?
He's not no Giada De Laurentiis, but he's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. And the other one is Mark Strassman. He's a Michelin star restaurant-trained chef that owns Mark's off Madison. And they're going to be here. So we have, for the first time ever, we're trying this out and see if it works, a Sunday brunch because everybody in Cayman loves brunch. It's going to be taking place at Saltwater Cayman, and these two fantastic chefs are going to be helping curate and create the signature dishes that are going to be served that day. So it's a full-on bubbles, you know the whole thing, but it's going to be a family-style brunch. So it's not going to be a buffet. Yeah. They're going to serve the full plates at the table, and you just share amongst your friends and so on and so on.
It's a long dinner picnic table.
Exactly. And a chance to meet these two wonderful chefs, Ron Ben Israel and Mark Strassman. They're also going to be on the stage on Saturday doing some stuff, so doing some demos and having some fun. So it'll be interesting to meet these people. We don't want it to become a cookout. Yeah. We don't want it to be the Michelin star chefs of the Eric Repairs of the world to come, because that's already being done here. Right. That's already taken care of. So we want to meet.
These are the rising stars.
Well, no, these guys are been there around for a while, but we want to just highlight something different and bring some. We had the Sandwich King last year, and we had the Top Chef winner from Canada here last year. So we're just trying to have a different concept of. Not the big name chefs. Go ahead.
We have a caller.
Okay.
Another caller. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello. And then another caller, and then another caller. But
yeah, we got it. They're trying.
Yeah. I mean,
see now, how many years you've been doing it is the last year that I was actually on as a host. So that's what I was thinking about.
Exactly. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hi.
Is it 2014?
Is it 2014?
Yeah, 10 years ago.
More.
You're not too far off, Now you were guessing the year I was born, or which? Yeah.
Were you 10 years as a host?
A little more.
Yeah, just a little bit more. Just a little bit longer.
That's not a Black Eyed Peas song.
No, that's Rod Stewart, man. That was a song Doc played just before the news, man.
There you go.
No, it's been a little more than that.
Okay.
Let me see.
You want me to guess again?
You want to guess again, Susan? She said, "Yeah, guess. Take one more guess. Why not?" We got another call.
Is it 11? Is it 11?
Okay, and if you guess again, is it 12? Is it 15? Is it 9? All right, but thanks for trying. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for Jay for letting me have some fun, man.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see if this caller has this answer.
That's what Tasty Cayman is all about. Is fun.
Food is about fun.
Yeah, man.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for trying.
Hello.
Hi.
Hiya.
I think it might be 10 years.
You think it might be 10 years?
2014?
2014. Wow. They must have Googled that.
It's a good guess, actually.
It's not a bad guess, but no. That's not correct.
It's a little longer than that.
What?
Okay. Is that when Jay left, though?
That is when I left. That is when I left. But I stayed as news director for a few years after I left being host director of the show. And that's when Sterling took over as host.
All right. I'll tell a story one time, too. But thanks for trying.
Cayman Brack, so I thought maybe I would get lucky.
Oh, yeah?
There's a joke saying the people think they see a thing. But one more call, Susan? She says we'll try it once again.
One more. All right. Thank you.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Love the Brack.
Hello.
Hi.
Is it 13 years?
Is it 13 years? No.
Is that 13 or 14 years?
Or 15 or 16 or 17, 18 or 19. There are a lot of things. It's kind of like those ballots that voted for Obama, but they don't work. No, mom. But thanks for trying, all right?
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. I'm hoping for two reasons. Because Sister Cayman has been around. Even Jay got it wrong, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to know this because, well, I know it, right?
Because it's you.
But we'll give an easier question, and we can give it away during one of the shows later
please
on.
Do, yeah.
Or we can give it away on this one at some point.
You just keep talking about Tasty Cayman, and we'll be happy. And then we'll just send me the names, and we'll take care of it at Tower Marketing.
Exactly. And what we'll do as well, right? We'll negotiate for 2 premium. You get 4 VIP, a trip to Cayman Brack. We can negotiate. All right.
That's next, and having a taste of Cayman Brack.
Oh, that would be awesome. All right. So as we get into the news, any quick final thoughts you want to remind our listeners?
Just please, like I said, tickets prices are probably going to go up on Friday and on Saturday. So if you want to go to the Friday event, buy the ticket beforehand. tasteofcayman.org. And if you buy both a Friday and a Saturday at the same time, doesn't matter if it's VIP, general admission, or premium, you save 10%. So please, tasteofcayman.org. There's several other like Island Supply, not Island Supply, Office Supply and Diver Supply and Blackbeard's liquor stores are selling them as well. But tasteofcayman.org is the best place to just go on. Answers all your questions. Who's coming? Times of people, the things are going to be going on. That's the place. Tasteofcayman.org.
All right. Hey, thanks to Ehrhart, and thanks to all of you. laugh a little bit today.
Our listeners.
There we go.
And see you in person for a change instead of listening to you on the radio.
There you go. All right, join us after the break.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Dwayne Ebanks. Jeffrey William Ebanks has taken the stand to defend himself. He's charged with breach of trust and conflict of interest stemming from his time as chairman of the National Housing Development Trust Board. He denies the charges that back in 2022, he diverted some 60 loads of vegetative matter from a low housing development site meant to go to a local non-profit. He took the stand around midday today to give his account for how he came into possession of the materials. The case continues at 2 p.m. after the lunch break and is expected to conclude by the end of the week. In regional news, in Bahamas, 2 men accused of murdering former government legislator Donald Sanders will return to court on May the 30th for presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment, which will send the case to the Supreme Court for trial. The men, Jayako Chute, 25, and Nickerson Nixon, 21, made their first appearance in court on Monday, charged with murder, armed robbery, and attempted armed robbery. They appeared before Chief Magistrate Roberto Reckley, with the prosecution saying that they murdered Saunders at a bar on March 27th this year while attempting to rob him. They were also accused of robbing the bar $650. The accused were not required to enter pleas and were remanded into custody. However, they were advised of their rights to seek bail in the Supreme Court. In Jamaica, a 37-year-old British national was fined Jamaica $10,000 after she was found guilty of causing a ruckus on a Virgin Atlantic flight from London earlier this month because of her request for more alcohol had been denied. Anderson of London, England, pleaded guilty to having behaved in a disorderly manner on an aircraft, a violation of the Civil Aviation Act. That's a look at your latest headlines. I'm Dwayne Ebanks.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority has over 120 world-class physicians offering the most comprehensive range of specialist services on island. Our dedicated team of professionals provide the highest quality care in orthopedics, interventional radiology, women's health, geriatrics, and a host of other specialist areas. We are a JCI accredited organization with a proven record of excellence. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky. Clara Eden, Certificate of Honor 1870 through 1969. Nurse Clara Eden was an extremely loyal and faithful midwife who traveled to all outer districts to deliver babies. She apparently had a record of the babies she delivered, along with the names of their parents in her first house, which burned down. At that time, she confirmed that she had delivered 1,500 babies, and when she retired, she estimated she had delivered 2,000. She took excellent care of both mother and baby for 9 days at the cost of £2. Nurse Clara was a faithful member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She was the only person in Grand Cayman who knew how to do starbread handwork, and in her spare time, she taught a few people how to do it.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very, very much for joining us. And in the studio, as part of a continued programming and a partnership with our friends over at UCCI, we got a chance to chat with you about something that they call Culturama. Well, Dr. Monica and the one and only Glen Inanga joins us. I think the only missing now is a little bit of dancing and the piano. Dr. Monica, how are you, Mom? How are you today?
Oh, I'm great.
She said, it feels like a long day, huh? Good to see you. I always enjoy, the opportunity to laugh with you and the like. And if I might, as you share with us, two things. What is Culturama, and then what was the impetus for doing it?
Okay, Culturama is the performing arts group at UCCI.
Mm-hmm.
Panda makes the choir and the dancers and instrumentalists. They're performing this weekend at the Harkwell Theatre. And we thought it would be a great idea to have a complete collaboration with all the different performing arts, to put on a 2-hour show to display our students and what they have learned and, to share to the public.
Yeah. Well, my grandniece, imagine that. I'm not a grandfather, I'm not even a father, I had a grandniece selling tickets, and of course you got to buy it, right? I'm like, what am I buying? Just be quiet, just give me money and take ticket. But then she shared it, and I go, wow. And it just shows that on a university setting, you can have the academia, you can have the research, you can have the public discussions, you can have the things that challenge and question the status quo of government policy or action or inaction. But you can also have these things that not only entertain, but speak to the cultural ethos, to showcase. And I think that's the beauty of and the richness of what a university is to a society. That's kind of why I'm so excited, why I took libertine license earlier to laugh at the expense of our politicians. I might pay for it at the end of the show, but nonetheless, it's important, right, Glenn?
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
Yeah. And I must point out, too, that marketing students are actually using it as part of their practicum. In promoting and selling the tickets. So, it's not just the performance, but it's also teaching them a skill.
And this is where that sort of cross-collaborative approach of schools being able to put on something where, I'm just thinking, for instance, your television and production section, they could video it.
Yes.
The other students who may be part of the business component, just as they could do a concession. There's so much that you can learn in a university that is real world, but in a controlled lab-like experiment. But with great respect to all of that effort, we as the Wedekind community can just come and enjoy it. We don't have to do anything except show up. And that, my friend, is priceless, as they say.
Priceless.
Oh, well, actually, there's a ticket charge, but for you, Glenn, as a performer internationally acclaimed, for an instructor like Dr. Monica, what does this mean for your students and for your institution as UCCI?
Well, thank you again for having us on Radio Cayman. It's great to be back. One of the most amazing things about this show is we're so amazed by the range of talents that these students actually display. And it's through initiatives like this and events like this and experiences like this that they can actually discover certain aspects of their personality, of their abilities that they didn't know existed. So we're really taking them out of their comfort zones and pushing them to very, very high limits. And I think the one thing that they're the Orange is guaranteed to get is excellence, right through from one performance to the next. We have over 50 students involved. And it's of epic proportions. I mean, we've gone all out, and that's why we're putting it on over 2 nights, because we didn't think one night would be enough to respond to the demand for seeing the show. On Friday, for example, we've invited all the schools. We have 19 schools coming to pack out the Harkwell Theatre, and again, this is a collaborative venture with the Cayman National Cultural Foundation. They felt that there were great synergies between the two institutions and what we represent from a cultural perspective. So we're very delighted that they've collaborated with us. And what does it mean for us? I mean, for me, it's always a wonderful opportunity to see what our students can actually do. Sometimes they exceed the expectations we have for them. And it's wonderful to see them getting so excited about something like this. And it's right before their final exams, and they're still getting really excited, and they're learning time management, they're learning discipline, they're learning how to cope with competing demands on their time, and so that's again one of the things that we're very excited about.
But that's real life, Dr. Monica, and if I'm not mistaken, Friday, the term ends, until it restarts back in May 8th or thereabouts, right? But it's also for students to appreciate 2 things. One, to be seen in the wider community. And then the students in the primary and secondary schools in particular to recognize that whatever that appeal and allure of wider universities in larger metropolitan areas that may attract them, it's still here on a smaller scale but more accessible. It's still here but more personal, and it's still here sometimes even in a greater way, because that child now is being showcased with a name in the face and on a stage that you are familiar. It means a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you talked about the pandemics. That's the steel pan group, the choir, the dancers. A lot of students getting to participate. More students potentially not as spectators, but can probably be potential members of those respective groupings. For you, is that sort of indicative of where the school is coming in terms of its performing arts and moving beyond the instruction on campus or in the classroom and then into the wider community?
Yeah, apart from us being very involved in the community, we also try to take them overseas as much as possible for them to see other performances and to participate in other performances too. And this is a fantastic educational tool for them. And I must also point out that we do have some alumni, past students that are now qualified, have their first degree, their master's, and they do come back to participate. So that speaks volume, that they want to still be involved. So
it's the evolution of, any institution, but it's a testament, Glen, to when you can have, as Dr. Monica was sharing, students, alumni, you're returning with pride. You're looking at it and go, wow, what we had when we were there were great, but look at how much better, how much more resources, how much more participation. That swells you as as an instructor, but also I think as a former student with pride.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of the things which many people aren't fully aware of in terms of what UCCI represents. Every time I go to work and I work with our students, I'm amazed by how incredibly gifted they are in so many different ways. And this is one of the main reasons why I look at a show like this, and I think, isn't it wonderful for us to showcase the wonderful things they're doing? For some of these students, it's going to be a boost to their confidence. For some of these students, it's them being a role model for some of the students who are coming on Friday to come and hear them perform from the primary schools and some of the secondary schools as well. So it's people to see, for people to be able to judge, to see, okay, so this is what I have to look forward to when I get to the higher levels of learning. So this is what I don't have to just be keeping my head in the books the whole time. There's other things going on the campus that that would be of interest to me. And you're right, some of the people will come along and say, what, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I'm definitely heading in that direction. This experience has shown me that this is something that I really, really love. So again, it's going to be a lot of varieties. There's going to be something there for everyone who is there in the audience, and I'm very, very excited about it.
And this is what I think strengthens the community, Dr. Monica, in that it's not just about academic, as Glen was talking about. The student may see this as a hobby, but it could eventually become a career. You could see it as that extracurricular thing, but it's learning that's taking place, because time management, you got to go to your classes and get your assignments done, but you got to show up to practice. You got to be there and committed to the performance, but you also got to ensure that you have a certain level of skill set in terms of getting along with everybody else, playing your role, making sure you carry your own water.
Especially in this time with technology and everybody is on their cell phones and all that, they have to be able to get along with each other, to converse with each other, to move together as one. So that in itself teaches them a lot. And I must also point out that 4 of the students that are actually performing have been on the dean's list and president's list. So they do excel academically, So it's not, it manifests itself in so many different ways. The excellence that they bring to the arts.
I'm glad that you referenced that, because I think if we were just to ask even our contemporaries, there is probably still a perception in this society, and perhaps in the Caribbean generally, but in this society particularly, that a student who is very good at sports isn't necessarily as equally focused on academics. A student who is good at the arts isn't necessarily as good and focused on the academics. And yet, in many jurisdictions, the two go hand in hand. And despite research showing that the student athlete can excel, research showing that the child who is a gifted pianist, violinist, or otherwise is also great, and that thing enhances the academics. If I may somewhat embarrass you, Glenn, many would not recognize that your background.
Yes, I've got a very unorthodox background. I always say I don't think I fit in anywhere. When I was with my university friends doing my bachelor's, I enjoyed doing the engineering, but my heart was in music.
Yeah.
And when I went to music college afterwards, and I was doing my studies, many of them kept saying, he's an engineer. He's an engineer. So you always got sort of feel that you've had your finger in lots of different pies, but it's wonderful to be in a position where you can actually see how it's all linked.
Yeah.
And it's really opened my eyes to see how much more rounded, an education I could have had growing up.
Yeah, I think, Dr. Malcolm, that's where, and I like the humility with Glenn. Oh, he's an engineer. He just whispers it, But everybody has a perception of what an engineer is, right? And to you shared with us long ago in your early days of, when we get to know a few years on and have a little bit more, life experience, the ability to have conversations, the ability to be able to sit in an audience and listen and absorb or to contribute. As Glenn was sharing that, I reflect on a friend. I won't embarrass him. When you look at him, you can see someone who's athletic. Or when you speak to him, you can recognize someone who has strong academic prowess. But when you see him sit at the piano and he plays, it's almost as if, I'm not sure how best, because I don't want to, to embarrass him. But there's an agility and a nimbleness that you need to have as you move across. Am I right, Glenn? And you have to move.
But it's all linked, though. There's something called discipline that links all of them. Yeah. And if you're disciplined at anything, I think you can develop this skill.
And his fingers are not by any means the fingers of a pianist, but anyway, right? I mean, Glenn, yours are long and looks a certain way, but yet they're nimble. And I think that, he knows I do this for many of my students. Don't label somebody, don't pigeonhole them.
True.
Right, and here's John. His name's not John, by the way. Sorry, George, I call you John. But I use that because at UCCI we see all these students increasingly who have these opportunities, but as a wider community, do we participate? Do we just wait and show up because we feel obligated, or do we go consciously and look at those students and help them to raise the bar? Yeah. That's what is so fundamental.
And the thing about it is that you get them to such a height of achievement, creativity, the way they see things, not just through a narrow lens, but they see things in a wider perspective. And they get along with people much better than the average person. And they don't even realize that this is what is being developed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So in itself is one of the ways of really and truly getting the best out of anybody is exposing them to the arts, because as I said before, it's a fun way of them learning and not realizing how much they are giving back to society and how much they themselves, sort of get to understand themselves, know about their country, where they're coming from, the different genre of music that they can listen to,
I think it's
does, fantastic.
Indeed. And it allows us as a student, almost without a sense of judgment, but with this expectation that you should explore. You get to do this thing in a space where it's part of your grade because you participate, or whether it's just your personal enrichment and nourishment, and it gives you that chance to see something in a way that may just open doors that you didn't know come.
Yeah. One thing I find so fascinating, and Dr. Monica backed me up on this, one of the things I enjoy seeing the most is the fact that all these programs are non-selective. Nobody's saying yes or no whether you can join. It's free access. So you can join. So we take you as you come, the raw material, and we work with you from whatever your level you're at to whatever level you need to get to. And I can tell you that takes a lot of hard work, a lot of patience, a lot of encouragement, a lot of support, a lot of failure attempts if that makes any sense.
Right.
But my goodness, when you begin to see and wait and see how things evolve and unfold, that's when you begin to see, wow, this is transformation at its best sometimes, and that's what many people don't realize. They think, these students, they've always been really good. No, they started from many cases from ground zero.
Yeah. I'm so glad.
I'm really pleased about
that you referenced that, and I might throw you with the greatest of respect, but with the most props insistence that I've ever been. The wider community and the parents and our educators at the secondary and primary level. This notion that you referenced, they're non-selective. As I understand that, you're not going around and looking at students and picking them based on proven track record. You say, open invitation, if you're interested, come along.
That's it.
Right? I emphasize that for two reasons. One, within the campus, Dr. Monica, how widespread, how many of your students you think actually know about these things? My perception is in their face constantly. They know about it. That's why there's a participation. But for the wider public, is it widely known that this is available and all the students can participate if they so choose?
You see, what happened in our society is that the young ones, they tend to be very reserved, very shy, very introverted.
Right.
So they'll know about it, but the first thing they talk about is, I can't. I'm not flexible. I can't sing. I can't this. And then you gradually have to coax them, come along, just take a class, and gradually you see, they'll drop in and they get very self-conscious and all. But after a while, it becomes second nature, they build friendship among the students that are in the classes and...
And I appreciate you sharing that, because you've said that many times in the past. Both of you have, and now I see it possibly, because these are university students, so a little bit older, a little bit more mature, a little bit more self-confident, self-aware. Fair enough, right? But I also think it's just the way Glen said it, non-selective. And that's why I was asking those who are listening, as parents and educators in that secondary and primary level, make sure that whether it's an academic program, for something, whether it's a business-related program or the arts, the performing arts, that you just don't go around and pick the students.
No.
And through you, if I could ask us, who are the ones who are organizing or funding those programs, when you ask those people, but how did the students, get selected? The school sent it. Okay, the school may have sent those students, but how did the school select those students? Was it one of those assemblies? And you tell the school?
We don't really select.
No, at UCCI you don't, right?
Yeah. But you see, if you're looking at a primary level or prep school level, it is the onus is on the parents to expose them, right? The parents are the ones that decide whether they go or not. The teachers don't really look to see, who is a singer or who is not a singer, unless, of course, they have like yearly concerts. And then you start, seeing some raw talent. But usually it is the parents that decide. And one of the things that I say to the parents, expose them, give them as much as you possibly can. Let them go, let them explore, let them dance, let them sing, whatever it is, let them act. And of course they're going to look, a little...
Yeah. I beg to differ with you though, because that was my perception as well. And I said what I said with the level of insistence, deliberately, not something I do often, because in going around, and Glen encouraged me in this, and I thank you for that, both your collective sort of open invitation to the board of students at UCCI. We have this group, please come check it out. You might surprise yourself. We're going to work extra hard because you don't even know, one end of the instrument from the other or one instrument from the other. No problem. Come along, start at ground zero. The secondary schools in particular, and even the primary, we are selective. And it isn't that the parents should not be involved. Increasingly, it's the teachers who are making that selection because for whatever reason as parents, we've not taken up sufficient involvement and interest, but also we say, the school would know better, the child is there. And that's where I'm asking us as a community to rethink the approach. Now, I may be idealistic in wanting all 1,000 students at the high school to be a part of a program, when logistically that's not a problem. But I want all 1,000 students to be aware that the program exists, and not for Miss Mary or Mr. Jones to be the ones who decide. And that's why I commend what I perceive at UCCI. Okay, it's here. If you want to be a part of it, great.
And all the more reason for us putting on the show like this.
Exactly.
It's a showcase to say, look, it's here. We're not just talking about it.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like, and you can be a part of this. And when people see, and it's so many students involved with this show on this weekend, and it's wonderful to see how they're gelling together, they're coming together. Some of them came to me today and said, "Oh, I see the dancers are doing this. We, the choir, can we do this too?" And you've seen these connections which you didn't know sort of existed before, with that, because they're working across.
It's a synergy, not silos.
Exactly, and that I like to go publicly commend Dr. Lawrence for this. He said, we're going to do this, we're going to bring all these different elements together, and she's curated the program. It's again, she's decided exactly how things should fit. Of course, we've discussed a few things, but I'm very excited to see how she's managed to bring all these different elements together to present this cohesive show. It's a big challenge for us, but it's wonderful to see how it's all come together.
And I thank you for the patience and the resolve, but the inclusiveness, because as I understand it, even that student who may not necessarily be so inclined artistically feels as accommodated and welcome as the one that shines brightly.
Well,
and thank you all for that.
And the thing about it too is that we have so many different genres that we are going to be, that you're going to see. I mean, you see from dramatic skits to the pan playing to singing, not only singing,
dancing,
classical, but they're singing, something that is very contemporary, and there's something there for everybody. So it's just a matter of,
And I think your inclusion of all the schools, as you shared, the 19 schools coming to be a part of it.
That is so important.
As we close out, though, for the wider public that want to see, how do we get tickets and the venue and the space?
Well, the tickets are available at the from any of the marketing students. Most of the students on campus have tickets selling.
On the
but they will also be at the Harkwell from Friday. We'll have tickets selling at the Harkwell, and they can call and reserve their tickets and all that. And we are expecting a sold out houses on both nights. Saturday it starts at 7 and on Sunday at 6 o'clock. And the show is roughly 2 hours with intermission.
Yeah, it's for those of us who are connected, either because of our children or extended family, or we volunteer with the schools through some program. But there's a wider section of our community who don't really recognize these things, and when they see it, after the event, because of the press releases or the coverage, they go, "Whoa, that happened." Here is something that is a sobering reminder of the good things that transpire in our communities, but where we as adults need to be a little bit more committed, more connected, more of a concerted effort. I'm excited, man. It's gonna be fun.
This could be great.
Yeah. So we got dancing, and we got singing, and I always like the steel pan.
Everything.
Have you been playing a solo?
Yes, and Glen will be playing a solo on the piano, so they'll have.
Now that in itself,
yes.
It's amazing.
Special request from Dr. Monica. So come and find out what it is I'm playing.
And I will tell you what it is.
No, and
it's the most spectacular.
Yeah, I will not ask, but
it's going to blow your mind.
If I had to speculate, I would say as an ode to, but I won't go that far. He laughs. But thank you very much, and I'm hoping that not only our continued partnership, but even after this event, we can have a recap. Bring on some of the students.
It would be good to interview them to hear what is their experience and how they felt about the whole thing. That is, especially the new ones that are performing for the first time.
It's interesting. I actually had this choir rehearsal, and they got to hear themselves for the first time, because we've had disjointed sort of schedules and so things that have happened in silence. But they got together and they were shocked by hearing what each other sounded like. They thought, "Is that us?" They were so pumped up, and they were singing a classical song. I mean, it's not a song that's pumps you up, but the energy that they brought to the performance, and I was just thinking, my goodness, these guys are amazing.
You expect great things from children,
and they give it.
And even at this level, we have. I was told on Saturday at the rehearsal that there's a particular father that didn't want his child to perform, and he's like, I am performing. So yesterday he bought 2 tickets to bring his dad and mom, and I said, yes, let dad come and see what you can do, He says, man. No, I want to perform,
This is where they start.
So even at that level, you find the parents saying, no, they shouldn't, limiting them and not realizing.
But they'll be shocked when they see what they say. Is that my child?
I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that speaks to and complements what I was saying earlier.
Yes.
Let's get more involved. Let's ensure that, like what you're doing at the university level, let's do it, earlier in the child's education, where it's an open invitation. We talk about inclusion, but is it really inclusion? I'm grateful to my friends who allowed me to come play football with them. I was nowhere as good as they are, but I enjoyed it. They encouraged me. You know what? I learned to actually put on my boots on the right foot.
And the opportunities that these students get to being in the performing arts, because they have been to Trinidad, Barbados, they've been to Jamaica several times performing in different performances there, and so the opportunity is,
That's it, man, and that's
limitless.
That's the life experience. That's an education.
Of course. That's part of their education.
All right.
Mr.
Glen.
Thank you, sir.
Always a pleasure,
man, for having us. And
always a pleasure. Dr. Monica, be honest with you, Glen shares the admiration, respect, and appreciation that extends beyond the classroom. So thank you. And I'm
thank you for
confident
having us.
Our students will continue to excel, and as parents, will be mesmerized, by the caliber.
They will.
All right.
Definitely.
So,
and I look forward to seeing you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I can't say I don't have tickets.
Grand.
I can't say I do. I mean, but it wasn't just purchased to be supported. It was, as a business student. But it's all good. So thanks very much, right?
Okay.
All right, to our listeners, this is a great place. Hold each other accountable, accept responsibility, and you'll see where we go. Join us after as we continue our partnership with HSA. Stay tuned.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Britke. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet. Because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square. And I got find my way to Barbados. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what, though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana, plus Barbados. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Our rich and diverse natural environment is one of our most important assets. Strong coral reefs are our first line of defense against intense storm waves. Healthy seagrass beds and mangrove forests provide a nursery for the sea creatures we depend on, while our native forests stimulate our rain cycles and help to control inland flooding. Economic resilience requires environmental resilience.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm honored always. You imagine how excited I am today. I got a chance to not only focus on education, that's prayer, but now health, which I always think are pillars in the society, a strong, robust healthcare sector and education system. So back to back, man, even having chocolate today could make my dinner better. Well, to Miss Faith Roches. I got it right?
Yes,
I got it right.
Everybody's used to Gilly, so in case they're not sure, it's the same person.
But improve.
Just
2.0. Faith 2.0.
2.0, yes.
Well, I also make sure I always get it correct. Speech and language pathologist, right? And your fantastic team, whether it's Miss Taylor and her other colleagues, doing the physio from sports and otherwise, to you guys on the other side of the aisle, taking care of all of us, not just the young ones, but those of us who may, for some reason, even having issues with swallowing. You've educated us a lot, so thank you and your team for the professionalism, but for our government over the years for this continued investment in these services. So thanks very much.
No, thanks for having us here today.
Well, and as we talk about autism, I'm glad to meet another of your colleagues, clinical psychologist Dr. Chantal Basson. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. And yourself?
I am awesome. If I wasn't, I would say I was, not to be false, but because, you call those things that aren't as if they were. You speak it into being. And we live in a very beautiful, blessed place. I mean, wonderful people. Yeah. How can you not be great?
Well, you'd be surprised here, actually. Well, I once read in a book, everybody has mental health difficulties apart from people who live on a Caribbean island. Yeah. I thought, well, that's short-sighted. And now that I live here, I absolutely know what those mental health difficulties are. Yeah. It's astounding.
And this is where I don't say it in jest, and I certainly don't say it to be oblivious to the obvious. But in Cayman, and probably globally, especially the last 3-4 years after, and I don't do this to disrespect. I do this hopefully to cause people to be a little bit more introspective. I use the phrase "we're all on the house arrest" globally, and what that impact may have done for that very young child that we think, oh, this young won't be affected, to that elderly person that has a great life, to that middle-aged person who is mid-step in career. We've all been impacted in a way that hasn't always been positive. We may not know 20 years until this impact, but we've seen something happening and we question it. Yeah. And what about those of us who are, as my friends who understand, you talk about being on the spectrum, who have diagnosed as something? How are they being affected? And what are we doing about it?
Do you know what? That's such an interesting question. And there are many people diagnosed and undiagnosed on the autism spectrum. We are all on that spectrum somewhere. For some, lockdown in COVID was absolute bliss because they didn't have to deal with people. Yeah. And then for others, it was absolutely excruciating. Yeah. And it's the same for everyone in society. For some, it was harder than for others. One thing is for certain is that it changed us and impacted us all in some way.
And it's going to do that, I think, in untold ways for an undefined period, and only perhaps in retrospect, with studies, decades in the future, that may reveal something, but that person's life has continued to be impacted. Maybe being aware and conscious and sensitive and receptive and accommodating and loving and nurturing and kind, all the great attributes that we should celebrate and expound, but we don't because we're busy. Oh man, just pull up your socks, you know.
And sorry, go ahead.
Please go ahead.
No,
Please,
well,
Miss
I
Faith.
was going to say, I think, especially over the past 10 years, we've seen a huge shift in how we view autism. We have such a better understanding of autism. And so, a lot of times people look at the incidents and look at the numbers and they're scared and they're like, why are these numbers so high? And I think there's a lot of factors that are contributing to it. I think one is that we're getting better at diagnosing. Certain populations have historically been very difficult to diagnose, for example, autism in girls. So a lot of times they're not getting diagnosed until they're teenagers or young adults. And you're also seeing a lot of parents going through their parenting journey, looking at their child and picking up, neurodiversity in their child, going through the journey with their child, and then being reflective and saying, actually, I was a lot like that as a kid. And, so a lot of parents are and especially we see in larger countries like in the US and Canada and the UK, we are seeing a lot of adults getting diagnosed now. And so I think it's just really important, to have these open, honest, frank discussions about autism, about the differences. First of all, our increased ability to identify it. It's not this scary, overbearing diagnosis. Actually something now that is very embraced, that we recognize that it's a difference in neurology. It's scientific. It's not, just a made up something. It's not because of a vaccine. It's not because of any of those things. I think it's just that we have gotten better at picking up those differences and being able to support those differences. And it doesn't mean that people with autism cannot live full, rewarding,
fulfilling lives.
Exactly.
Dr. Chantal, if I may ask, the autism in girls, and specifically as Ms. Faith referenced, we don't know from what we understand, from those experts in the medical field, that presentation of, say, heart issue in a woman may present different than in a male, or in this one versus that one. But autism specifically in girls, how is it different, and how does it present? And maybe give us just a quick oversight, if you would, please.
So autism in girls tends to come as a slightly more hidden part of the spectrum. Girls will tend to mask their challenges an awful lot more. So, for example, they might have massive sensory issues or lots and lots of big feelings inside, but really keep those inside and internalize. If I'm going to really generalize, I'm going to say that boys will tend to externalize a little bit more than girls. I'm not going to be too genderist. I'm not going to get into a big battle around that. But girls will, on the autism spectrum, tend to internalize their difficulties more, and then they will mask. The problem with that is, and it's much more difficult to see, so a child can be struggling in school and nobody's seeing it. They go home and you get these really big emotional outbursts. And that's what we often hear, especially with girls, is they're holding it all together in school and they're having big emotional outbursts at home. They're still having the same kinds of challenges. So, for example, difficulties understanding or expressing their emotions, difficulties communicating what they're thinking or what they need, difficulties with social interaction, sensory difficulties, and difficulties with change. So it's still a similar profile to boys. It just looks different and is experienced a little bit differently. The thing with autism is you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Everybody is different. And when we talk about autism, we often talk about it from a deficit perspective. But every person I have met on the autism spectrum has these superpowers that may or may not be hidden, that are the absolute beauty of the autism spectrum and that we need to celebrate.
And this is why I'm so grateful and hopeful that this will be one of many conversations, either with the other colleagues in the mental health department, if that's how I term it, or people like Faith and others, because we need not just to be talking about it for a PR or some sort of presentation, but an actual understanding. And with respect, I'll certainly be guided by you. I think we get so caught up in semantics, we get so caught up with the red herrings that we focus on these little things, and we take away from the impact, the importance, and almost sometimes the immediacy of what is transpiring. I mean, Miss Faith, a child who is in school, a young girl, and she's attentive and quiet, and she's such a well-behaved child. We don't know if she's performing because she's so disciplined and quiet. Then she gets home, and there's a different behavior that may cause the community to go, but something must be wrong at home, right? But maybe this home where she can do this thing because she's not gonna be subject to discipline in the school, stand in the corner, be expelled, go to the principal's office.
And a lot of times home is that safe space, right?
Right.
So, for children, they will freely express themselves, whether it's through words or through their behaviors. They will freely and clearly express themselves, and often will do it in a setting and in a way that is most comfortable to them. So if I'm spending my whole day masking, and just to explain, masking is basically hiding. So, it's like you're wearing a mask in public and you're hiding your symptoms. And so as we go through, we want to talk about the importance of neurodiversity affirming practices. And that is something that at HSA we have taken fully on board and really done a lot of the work. Because I think a lot of parents, when they get that diagnosis of autism, they are so overwhelmed, and there's a grieving process because there's a lot of myths and there's a lot of misconceptions about autism. And so, parents view, my child can't be autistic because they can read or because they're smart. And autism has nothing to do with cognition. It is just a difference in the wiring of the brain. It's a difference in the neurology and how they are experiencing sensory information and how they are communicating and how they are coping with the day-to-day activities in their life. And so with now autism can co-occur with other issues. So it can co-occur with ADHD, which is another aspect of that neurodiversity wheel. That it can also co-occur with cognitive impairments. It can co-occur with additional sensory processing difficulties. It can co-occur with a communication delay, and so it can co-occur with a lot of things. And so I think it's really important when you work with a psychologist like Dr. Basson and you're going through that diagnostic process, that you really take as much time as you need to synthesize that information to truly understand your child's unique clinical presentation. Because I could work with 25 different children or 25 different young people on the spectrum, and every single one of them is unique and has their own strengths and their own quirks and their own uniqueness things about them. And so my approach with them is going to be different. And so we just want to talk a little bit more, kind of explaining to parents about the diagnostic process and just processing those feelings, because a lot of times when you're using traditional approaches, we're looking at, well, when we compare your child to a neurotypical child, or when we compare your child to a quote-unquote average child, your child is not doing A, B, C, and therefore this is what the plan looks like. And it's all based on teaching a neurodiverse child to mask and to pretend to be a typical child. And in the long run, and I think a lot of times that type of approach is embraced by families, particularly those of us of Caribbean descent, because we're very academic driven and performance driven, and we measure success by academic means. But I think it's really important for families to start to educate themselves about the importance of acceptance and being aware, because in the long run, those are the ones that flourish because they are accepted for who they are and they develop their strengths in their time when they're ready, with support. But therapy is not looking like me teaching you how to be quote unquote normal. It is about me taking your unique interests and your unique strengths and supporting that, right? And helping you be the best version of yourself. And so, I think initially a lot of families buy into that traditional approach, but I think, really looking at a strengths-based approach is when we look at the long-term benefits, is much more beneficial, because what you see is when we start to get particularly into those teenage years,
Indeed.
those hormones, puberty, and you start to see all these explosions and a lot of non-functional skills, because I've been taught to master a standardized assessment and I haven't been taught to cope with life.
Right. So, Dr. Basson, given that your other schedule allows that we don't have you until 2 o'clock or thereabouts, to Ms. Faith's points, I mean, even the word neurodiversity or neurodiverse, maybe do we understand what that means? Some of those presentations and the clinical assessments help us to get a better feel for the discussion for those of us who are not that well informed.
So neurodiversity means essentially that we are all different, that we will all act differently in a certain set of situations. We, in certain generations, definitely mine, we're taught that you have to fit in, that in order to get on in life, you have to be as close to the norm as possible. What neurodiversity helps us to think about is actually very few people fit the norm and fit in. We are all part of a society made up of difference, and neurodiversity celebrates that difference in all of us. And it allows everyone to feel like they belong and are accepted in society, and that's so important for our mental health. Acceptance and belonging lead to connection, and that's what forms the pillars of our mental and emotional well-being. Now, then we talk about neurodivergence, which is a set of characteristics which can then be clustered into and brought together into a diagnosable condition, if you like, such as ASD, autism, ADHD. So we talk about neurodiversity and neurodivergence. Now, what that helps us to do when we use that language is move away from disorder language, deficit language, to a language of understanding, and often a language of celebration of difference. Many people on the autism spectrum have incredible skills to bring to commerce, to industry. And when we think about the disorder language, we set those people apart as if they don't quite belong, and we do not want to do that. We want to harness those skills because we need them in society. On the autism spectrum, I have met so many people whose attention to detail is absolutely incredible, or their ability to work out mathematical equations is kind of beyond, or even to understand individuals.
If I might ask, though, with that, and to apologize, we missed the break, can we just go a couple of seconds more with Susan, and then we just combine up? Yeah, thanks. Because Dr. Basson has to leave at 2, and I'm really grateful Miss Faith will stay with us. But with that in mind, as we look at it, in societies in terms of civility and stability, there's a behavior expected of many of us, not just as children, but people generally. So how do we ensure that a child be mindful but very conscious in the words, isn't throwing a tantrum, isn't being spoiled, is not there being disruptive and destroying things, but at the same time the discipline and the direction, the counsel and nurturing is such that it's helpful, holistic and beneficial? How do we recognize one over the other, respond in a way that is much more positive, productive?
We need a little bit of both. We need both the nurture and we need the boundaries, the discipline. When we have both together, it's called connection with correction. The nurture is the connection with our child. I know you're having a hard time. The correction is, do we think it's okay to do that in the supermarket? Okay. And that's when actually we get the best out of behaviour in a young person. So we need both.
And I think sometimes too as parents, maybe because we're embarrassed, maybe we don't necessarily have the skill set, the patience, whatever it is, we respond in a certain way. Maybe it's the cultural expectation for whichever.
We get embarrassed.
Yeah. And there are some children that they're so quiet, but we think, oh, they're so well behaved, little Jeannie, she's so great, but there's an issue. But then there's some that it bunks up and down. We go, oh, he could use a little something. We need to make sure we get it right.
We do, and we can do that as a society. So imagine if, instead of people rolling their eyes at that parent and thinking, what are they doing? They don't know what they're doing. Imagine if we said to that parent, hey, you know, you're doing your very best here. This is really tough. I'm here for you. Can I do anything?
But is this the way acceptance and tolerance from the perspective that if you are the parent who's hearing that from a family member or a stranger, are you going to respond in a positive way? Or are you the person who's about to say that, what if I do that and this person receives it this way? And I think over time, it's the cultural ethos, Ms. Faith.
Well, I think it just goes back to education, because, you know, a lot of times for children, you know, we need to realize that behavior is communication. And so, you know, I tell parents all the time, if you have been a parent that worked with me, you've heard me say this, you know, communication is not just the words that we speak. It's everything that we say and do. And so for young children, their behavior is speaking to a need, an unmet need. And we can explore that more.
Indeed.
I know we have to take a break.
No. Well, we will in a second as we do that. Dr. Basson, as you share with us in your closing thoughts, and Ms. Faith will pick it up for those listening after a news break. This is an ongoing discussion. It's about education awareness. It's also about a sense of confidence and, for us, a commitment. So, share with us, please.
The confidence and commitment, I think, is at so many levels. Is at an individual level as a parent with our child and understanding their behaviour as communication, exactly as Miss Faith said. It's also as confidence in society and in our families, that we're gathering together, that we are united in helping each other, in holding each other up, especially women and mothers. Once upon a time, we would tear each other down, and that is changing. We are now a group of women who tends to hold each other up and support each other no matter what we're going through. And I think that's what we need in society around autism.
Yeah, well, you know, I think as parents, male and female, father and mother, that we're facing a different challenging time. Looking forward to having you back on. Thanks for sharing with us. And of course, Ms. Faith, she's always willing. To our listeners, right after the break, we'll continue with the discussion. Please rejoin us.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Radio station. Radio Cayman is the voice of the Cayman Islands. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
With a look at your latest headlines, I'm Dwayne Ebanks. The Ministry of Education is pleased to announce that applications are now open for the Early Childhood Assistance Program, ECAP, funding for the 2024-2025 academic year. ECAP provides financial assistance up to $500 per month towards tuition fees at approved early childhood centers. To qualify, children must be Caymanian and turn 3 years old before the 1st of September 2024. Parents or guardians must also meet means testing requirements. To learn more about ECAP funding, please email the Ministry's Early Childhood Care and Education Unit at ecap@gov.ky. In regional news, Haiti police say that they have recovered a hijacked cargo ship laden with rice following a fierce gun battle with gangs over 5 hours. The Haitian National Police said 2 police officers sustained injuries, while an undisclosed number of gang members were reportedly killed during the confrontation on Saturday just off of the coast of the capital, Port-au-Prince. In a statement, the authorities said that the hijacking had been orchestrated by members of 2 notorious gangs identified as the 5 Seconds and Taliban gangs. They said the gunmen seized control of the transport ship last Thursday as it was departing from the port of Veru. In other regional news, Trinidad police officers have detained a 39-year-old suspect as they continue investigating the death of a 4-year-old girl who was reportedly beheaded at her home during the early hours of Tuesday morning. Police officers went to the home and made the horrific discovery of the child's body being in one room and her head in another. The police have recovered 2 knives from the scene. That's your latest headlines. I'm Jeffy Ebanks.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
You know who this is? That same old girl that went to Hollywood and Panama? Well, guess what? The fun ain't done yet, because this year, I'm going to country concerts in Denver. I got kick up my heels in Times Square, and I got find my way to Barbados. I got keep living the dream with Cayman Airways. We so blessed to have them. I tell you what though, this old girl's feeling younger than ever.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering international non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, Kingston, Mobay, La Ceiba, and Havana, plus Barbados. Enjoy free rum punch, free in-flight entertainment, free seat selection, and free meals on select flights. Call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
This is Sherry Ebanks, and I work in the financial services sector. I am concerned about how climate change is affecting our beautiful beaches. Sea level rise and changing wind patterns are worsening the erosion of our beaches, and warmer temperatures are causing more sargassum to reach our shores. When our beaches are degraded, our tourism sector and the livelihoods of Caymanians are put in jeopardy. To learn more about the climate risks to our islands, visit www.gov.ky/climate change policy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome. Thanks very much to this continued partnership with our friends over at the Health Services Authority and Miss Faith, to you in the team in the speech and language, department. Is that section, unit, wing?
So we are part of the Therapy Services department at HSA. That's what it's called now.
Yes, yeah.
But it may change in the future, as dynamics change and stuff. Right. My official title is I am team lead for speech and occupational therapy, but I am a speech and language pathologist by training, and that is my specialty area. So, yes.
I know you not only help us to ensure that people are informed in timely way, very accurately, but through you we get a chance to have a sense of conversation that allows people to not only feel included, but to comfortably and expectantly ask questions and seek answers.
Absolutely.
So part of the therapist services, which I see is the evolving thing, we had, I can call it your colleague as a clinical psychologist, over in what was the mental health. And I think it's not just semantic. I think it's a recognition that our approach to health and well-being has to be as exhaustive and as inclusive as we can, so that when you speak to a specialist and say, obstetrics, for instance, that they're not just there to help you deliver a child, they're taking you across the whole spectrum, before, even conception, while, and then after birth. Life is about getting and being as healthy in every way.
Yes.
I share that to maybe emphasize, if you're talking about autism, the notion that for some of us, we may go through life knowing that something is a little bit different. Sadly, our friends and family saying, "What's wrong with you?" to us feeling uncomfortable, misplaced, displaced, somewhere rejected, and the like, without knowing. Then there are those who have been diagnosed and still experience that same thing. So how do we make sure that that's not going to be the norm going forward?
Well, earlier before the break, we were talking a little bit about, like, for younger children, when we see the behaviors and what does that mean and how do we cope with it. And, I think a lot of families feel like if my child has some type of diagnosis, I cannot, discipline my child. And when I say discipline, I do not mean, corporal punishment and you spanking your child and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, having a diagnosis of whatever that diagnosis is not a permissive or permission to just behave in any which way, right? So I don't want people to think when we say we do neurodiversity affirming tactics and neurodiversity affirming approaches, that our tactics are just, letting the child just do whatever they want. Like, no, we put demands on the children, and we expect,
That's right.
we expect, but children have to be taught and shown, and a lot of that is really just taking the time to recognize. And, for us and our team, we are huge on education, and we think it's so important. Like, we see a lot of practices where, it's very much like a drop off, like a daycare. I just drop my child to therapy. I pick them up 2 hours later, and I'm not involved in the process. And that is not beneficial to your child or to you as a parent, because you are missing out on the opportunity to connect and to learn how to continue those support strategies at home. Your child lives with you, right? And so, we see your child for a snippet out of the day. And so we are very much fans of families being a part of the process from beginning to end and sharing what we know and making sure that you understand. So a lot of times when we're seeing those behaviors, it's a sensory difference, that maybe that child needs some support with emotional regulation. My feelings are feeling really big. I don't yet have the words to express how I'm feeling. Or maybe I am feeling dysregulated, I'm feeling out of sorts, and therefore, like, the big tantrums, the screaming, the throwing myself on the ground, or the hitting myself against things, I am seeking that tactile input to regulate my system. Right. And this is where my colleagues, the occupational therapists, come in, because they are able to use sensory integration approaches, sensory motor approaches, and saying these are the things that we can do to help meet that need. And when we look at brain science, and you and I have talked a lot about, if we're going to follow some science, we need to follow all the science, right? And so when you look at brain development, right, if you are not regulated and you don't have that proprioceptive input and, learning to control my body and my awareness of my body and my awareness of my emotions, that develops that awareness of self. So a lot of times parents want what's at the top of the pyramid, which is the communication and the academics. And that's the last thing to come online when we're looking at neurological development, right? And a child who is neurodiverse, they may spend a longer time at that base of the pyramid because they might need that extra, they have additional sensory needs, right? So we might need to look more at providing those sensory needs. We might need to look more at how can we modify your home environment? What kind of activities can you guys do as a family? Should you be swimming? Should you be going to the park? Should you, encourage lots of climbing and jumping? Like, how can we meet these needs in a functional way that suits what your family's day-to-day is and what your family's day-to-day needs are? And that as that child starts to get more regulated, you will start to see more attention. You will start to see more focus. You will start to see more engagement. And in those moments, that is where learning can start to happen. Right. When I can start to process the visual things that you're trying to show me, and I can start to process the auditory things that you are sharing with me, whether that's music, whether that's speech, and then now I'm starting to synthesize that and produce that as an output. And if we're looking at, that's how the brain develops, we don't want to focus so much up here. We're setting that child up for failure, or we're teaching that child to mask, and I'm going to deny these needs for now because you really want me to do this and I want to perform for you, right? But then I'm going to have these moments at home where I'm very explosive or I'm very dysregulated, and it's almost like the child is like a volcano and just exploding, right? So it's all about a balance, and through every step of the way, making sure that we're genuinely connecting with that child and pulling the best out of them.
As you shared, we as a family and a community, but in particular that the parents, the primary caregivers, being aware, informed, educated. You've alluded to some, but are there some common misconceptions that we as the parent may have of the child or even the wider community? I like when you reference the idea that discipline doesn't mean this, but also you must discipline, you must have some sort of,
And I think a lot of times with families, and this is why having a proper diagnosis and really like getting that support from a psychologist and maintaining regular reassessment periods with a psychologist. The gold standard is every 3 years from your initial diagnosis that you would then go through a reassessment process. So a lot of times families will just do it one time and be done. But a child's brain is growing and developing. And I tell families a lot when they say, oh yeah, well, they said my child was autistic and then like they outgrew it. Then your child probably was not autistic because that is a neurological difference. And so that's not something you outgrow. But there are many disorders that do look like autism, right? And so Dr. Basson, she alluded to other types of neurodivergence like ADHD, sensory processing disorder, OCD. A lot of those things have a lot of similar characteristics. And so, but as that child's neurology is developing at this developmental stage, if this is what we're seeing, there is a rigorous process to get a diagnosis. And once that diagnosis is developed, you want to make sure that you have an understanding of if there are any co-occurring differences. Because a lot of times people think, oh, well, autism means that my child is not intelligent or that there is a cognitive component. And a cognitive component can co-occur with it, but they are not one and the same.
Right. Ms. Faith, with that, though, the diagnosis seems to be key. The support and then the information and the way we respond and the education is key. But that diagnosis, there are some who have the perception that it's expensive, it's difficult to get. Is it? I mean, help us to appreciate that.
I mean, to be honest, it just depends on the type of insurance that you have and the services that your child is plugged into. But I think we're very fortunate in Cayman. I think a lot of times we are so used to having health care that is free or that is very affordable, and we're used to having it at our fingertips. We don't think that we should wait 2 weeks for an appointment. And if we look in other jurisdictions, even the US, even in Canada, even in the UK, sometimes families are waiting years to get diagnoses. Whereas here in Cayman, I think most families are able to get a diagnosis within 3 months. So I just, if you feel like your child presents with autism spectrum and you have limited insurance and you feel like you have limited options, I would say just discuss it with your child's pediatrician. They are the key point person who's monitoring your child's development. Don't miss out on those well child visits. A lot of times families will say, well, my child's healthy, they never get coughs and colds. But part of those regular checks with your pediatrician is also looking at development. And what you don't want is that your child is now getting ready for school and doing their check, their medical intake for school, and we're flagging up all of these developmental concerns. And now you're concerned because you don't want your child to go to a certain school, or, this is not the expectation that you had for your child's education. Early intervention is key, right? So I would say just talk with your child's pediatrician, because there are avenues. We can look at the early intervention program. If your child is going into government schools, that's an option. If the child is a Cayman child, there's things that could be looked at HSA with their pediatrician. So there are options. And so I would say just discuss it with your child's pediatrician for them to help you brainstorm and problem solve what's the best option for you.
All right. With that, let's just quickly take the final break of our segment, and then we come back. We want to ask about at least 2 of the key things.
Sure.
Please join us after.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard the news? Digicel is back with exciting offers that are too good to resist. Activate one of our brand new prepaid or postpaid plans today and experience telecommunications like never before. With more data, dedicated entertainment options like Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, and endless social text data for all your favorite platforms. Digicel is here to make sure you stay connected and entertained. Whether you are on a prepaid or postpaid, you will also enjoy dedicated roaming data for the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean. It's all about value, and Digicel has got you covered.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
The Economics and Statistics Office is currently conducting the annual business surveys until June 14th. The surveys seek to collect information needed to answer these questions. How did the economy perform in 2023? In 2023, how much did foreign companies invest in the Cayman Islands? The surveys include all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance in filling out the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks to, if I may say this, and hopefully with a great respect, love and appreciation for successive and continuing governments to invest heavily in its people through the provision of services. And to date, I think within the Cayman context, the health services, and in particular our Health Services Authority, if we demand great things, we have high expectations, we will get it. And to Ms. Faith Rocha, thanks for sharing with us, because autism, it would seem to me like many things, if we don't understand what we're dealing with, we don't quite sure how to respond. And like that niggling little thing that Dr. Roy was talking about, today is a simple thing. In short order, it could be a big thing that could be life-threatening. If it's ignored, it doesn't go away. Can I ask, as we talk about autism, are there any particular sort of, from your perspective, research or treatment options, any sort of advances that are promising, that are exciting, that you are employing, let's say?
Yes. So one of the first red flags of autism from their communication standpoint is often either a lack of words or the use of echolalia.
And I'm sure like you would have heard that before. So I'm pleased to share that my entire speech therapy team, we are trained in an approach called the Gestalt language processing approach, or the natural language acquisition approach. And that research is not new, but has had a resurgence because I think as more and more clinicians are working with children with autism and really struggling to help them get that naturalistic language, right? And so a lot of people then revisited this research that was created by Marge LeBlanc, and she started that in 1981. So it's not new, but it is now well established. And so one of the things that has really come out of her research that was groundbreaking is that children, and it's not only children on the spectrum, but we happen to see it happen more often with children on the spectrum because there are neurotypical children who learn language in this way. And so the traditional way that children learn language is, you know, I start with babbling, and then it turns into little mama dada, then it turns into real like little words, dog, ball, and then I'm starting to add a couple words, big ball, you know, dada go, that kind of thing. And then eventually it turns into robust sentences, and then you're like, my child won't be quiet, right? So with children with autism, a lot of times like families will say things like, well, they say things, they can talk in sentences, but just when they want, right? They might say things like that, and then we're kind of like, okay. And so as we do our detective work as clinicians, we realize that these children, they don't learn language in the blocks the way that that children typically acquire language. So they are almost acquiring language. They're taking whole sentences and phrases and using that, but in their mind, it has one meaning, right? And so, for example, an example from a video I watched the other day, because I'm very much a nerd and I'm always, you know, watching other professionals and see what they're doing and see if there's any trends, any changes, things that I think would be really applicable to us here in Cayman Islands. And so an example the girl gave was the child would say thank you when the child wanted something, because what's the model? When you give the child something, say thank you. So when the child, instead of saying I want that, the child would say thank you, right? And so the child wasn't saying thank you to say thank you. Thank you actually meant,
please give me this.
Please give me this, right? And so that clinician then gave that child the model. Can I have it? And the child said, can I have it? Because they're able to copy these longer units of words. And so our work as the clinicians and that whole approach is we are actually encouraging the echolalia. So in the past, when we worked with children with echolalia, our goal was to eliminate that. That is not typical language. That's just a stem. But actually, this research is showing us, no, it is, and it does have meaning. You just have to figure out what it is. So for example, I was working with a little one who used to say, keys, please, right? Because when we were playing with an activity, and when it opened, you know, he had copied me say, keys, please, and it opened. And then so every time he wanted the door to open, he wanted a jar to open, he said, keys, please, because to him, that meant open, right? And so what we do is try to teach gestalts or echoes that are functional, that we can break it down. So like that example I gave earlier where she modeled, can I have it? And he said, can I have it? Well, now, once he's using that consistently, you can teach that child to say, can I have more? Can I have juice? Can I go? Can I do this? Can I do that? And you can actually, what we call mitigate those gestalts, break down that echolalia into its unique words and phrases, model that to expand that child's language. As they start to synthesize a language in that particular way, what you see then is the child will, and a lot of times this is a scary part for parents, is that they'll see, oh, they're not talking in sentences anymore. They're talking in single words. That's actually a really good thing, because what it means is that now the brain is starting to reorganize and is starting to understand language now in its individual units. And then you start to then see that natural progression of starting to put those words together and make their own independent sentences and share their own independent thoughts. And that has been such a rewarding approach for our team. We've been using it for
going on to 3 years now. And it's amazing, the connection, because the kids often, the parents are like, oh, they're in their own world, da 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 da. When you start to really give into those echoes and you start to really dive into the gestalts with the kids, they start to look at you and they're like, you can see the child's face like, oh, you are getting me and you are understanding me. And once you connect with that child, the amount of progress that you see, it's amazing. And so when we use that approach with parents, we love for parents to be involved, and we're giving them little, snippets of this week, try this week, try that. And it's just amazing to see the growth that those kids experience using that approach.
I think this is where we as parents sometimes, we talk about there's no handbook, and we try to copy and we try to do things that we think worked or avoid things that we think didn't work when we were children, as we were calling. But it just shows how much we don't know about the impact, of the child and the environment and the brain development and the like. To your example, I've seen parents, as they give a child something, say thanks, right? And as you were sharing it, I wonder, is that parent somehow, thinking that's how it works, or in that parent's mind, you're trying to teach the child that when you receive it, you say thanks,
thank you.
not being cognizant that you actually may be communicating to the child, oh, this is how you get something. Now, whether the parent is autistic and didn't know, or whether the parent has been, sort of misguided into what it thinks it's trying to achieve, it just shows where we don't know something and the negative impact because we're trying to achieve something that we don't quite sure what we have achieved.
Yeah. And one thing I always like to tell families is like, kids are human. We often put these unrealistic expectation on kids. And then, I tell my families, like, we as adults cannot live up to that expectation. And then now let's add in that your child, is neurodiverse. Like, that's a huge expectation. We expect kids to sit down and be quiet and pay attention, for 3-4 hours, and, like, not to get upset and not to. And I'm just like, we as adults don't sit down for 3 or 4 hours. We get up, we take breaks. We don't have to ask anybody to go to use the bathroom. We can, and we have days where we're having an off day. I mean, yesterday, I felt like everybody in my office was a little bit off yesterday. I don't know if it was the eclipse or what, but yesterday was an unusual day. And so not so much with the kids, but definitely I would say with my coworkers, like everybody seemed to have been having, either they were low energy or they were just a little bit moody, everybody was a little bit off. So I don't know if it was just Monday blues or what, but I tell families, like, sometimes kids come in and they're in a mood and they're throwing tantrums. And it's like, my goal is, and for my team, our goal is always to connect with your child. We don't want, coming to therapy to be associated with a negative experience. We are not going to take an hour and try to drum in, you need to be, quote unquote, normal to that child. We want that to be a time of connection.
But this is where, we joked just then about the eclipse, but a recognition that things transpire, or whether it's the solar system or the celestial bodies or the moon, the tide, whichever,
whatever it is,
things happen. Right?
Yes.
And we need to be receptive. We need to be understanding, accommodating, as best as possible, non-judgmental. And yet we are consciously and unconsciously. But that child is experiencing so much stimuli.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And yet, I feel that just generally, the educational system, as we sort of term it, has an expectation that little Johnny comes in, sits down, and is a robot. Then there's some that think little Johnny can come in and be disruptive as much as he wants. And then there are those who may think that one approach is better than the other. But it's back to us as the adults. You know, what are we not doing? How are we doing what we're doing? And in closing, I want to ask whether we are diagnosed as an adult or undiagnosed. Is there something as part of not only Autism Awareness Month, but even within the services? We talk about parenting craft and taking classes. We try to figure out how, because I think every single parent wants the very best for their child. Is there something you can tell us as parents that we could do, whether we are cognizant of our child having a diagnosis, but just to make sure? As a quick example, right?
I think the biggest thing that you can do for your child is just meet your child where they're at and accept and love them for who they are and how they're presenting today. And that can be really difficult. And that, because if my child is not behaving and let me tell you, like, I'm a parent, my child is, she is a firecracker. Let me tell you.
Just listen, okay?
Yeah, she might be. She is a little firecracker,
She is a
and
darling.
let me tell you, like, she has challenged me, and I tell people all the time, like, being a parent, I tell my team all the time, you think you know it all until you become a parent. And when you become a parent, your level of empathy for your families completely changes, and that connection. And I can't tell you how many times, like, I've had parents in my office, like, just so overwhelmed. And I'm just like, listen, I get you more than you realize. I get you. And it's like, but, they're amazed when that child leaves after that first session and there's a connection. And that part of that children want to connect with you, and they want to connect with you genuinely. And kids can tell who's authentic and who is not, right? And it doesn't matter if they're neurotypical, if they're neurodiverse, like, kids can tell. And parents are always amazed within 1 or 2 sessions, just that level of rapport that is established so quickly. And I am quite old school in terms of, like, you're not going to be climbing on my desks and jumping and swinging. And, I'm, a bit older now. So my knees aren't as, they still go up and down, but, they might have a little creak and a crack here or there, And so it's like, a lot of families are always just so surprised. And it's just like, because it's about the connection, and it's about making sure that you have that genuine connection. And part of it is that we are accepting your child for who they are. And that is why we're pulling so much goodness out of your child. And so, take time to grieve, talk to a counselor, because it is like, when your child gets a diagnosis, it can be, just very scary. It can be overwhelming. You start to go down the rabbit hole. You start to go down Google, and how do I cure this, and how do I do all these things? Like, Google is not your friend. Like, leave the internet search engines alone. Connect with your child, and just remember, the child that is before you at 2 is not the child they're going to be when they're 12, is not the child they're going to be when they're 21. And just remember, like, baby steps, and accept and love your child and connect with them. And the parents that we see that step away from this, my child needs to be normal, and starts to accept their child and connect with their child and genuinely participate in the therapeutic process. Like, sometimes I'll just pull them aside. They won't even be my patients, but I'll just pull them aside and be like, Mom or Dad, like, wow, I'm so impressed by how much growth I've seen in the past 3 months. And they're like, oh my gosh, Miss Faith, I didn't even think, like, you would recognize, because you're not working with us. And I'm like, but even just in the waiting room, just seeing the child from tantruming to coming and sitting down and eating their snack, and, like, just the routine, like, take your child with you everywhere you go. Like, your child is a member of this community. And so what if they're having a time? When my daughter was little, my daughter was extremely busy. And I used to be so embarrassed at church. You grew up United Church, very traditional, right? Like, and I'm like, and I used to be so embarrassed. And I remember, like, my grandma's friends, like, they would be like, leave her alone, just let her be. And these children be, running all over, going up on the pulpit, interrupting, asking pastor questions in the middle of the sermon. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, right? And so it's like, as a parent, we have even, like, in the supermarket now, people look at my daughter now and they'll be like, oh, I remember when you were 3, you used to be a terrorist. And she was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. And I'm like, but it's true. We all go through this, right? And it's just take your children with you everywhere you go, accept them, love them, embrace them for who they are, and be an active part of the process, because at the end of the day, nobody knows your child better than you do.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Faith. I always appreciate you and the team coming on, and one of my key takeaways from what you shared is love, nurture, provide a safe space for your child, but also expect them, by you doing as a parent, the right thing, and not give them license to be obnoxious and disrespectful and rude, but by the same token, as an adult, trying to be embarrassed because your child has been a child. Yeah. So there's a fine line. But more importantly, if I'm hearing you correctly, seek assistance. Reach out to
Yes.
your team.
Reach out
and
to
as
your
a-
pediatricians,
Yeah.
your GPs, and really just advocate for your child.
Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you.
And you know what? Your daughter is a fantastic young lady. I see her independence. And, for those of us listening with your expertise and experience as a parent, knowing the difference and having that, maybe we, can take a page and go, wow, she managed and cope and she didn't know and she's supposed
to. It's a process.
All right.
It's a process. Kids are kids regardless of diagnosis.
Thank you very much. And thanks to Miss Susan. She's a fantastic lady.
Yes.
Very, very curious. She just, look at that. You missed it. Do it again so she can see. She's just saying she has that agape love for everybody. Isn't she so generous? All right. Tomorrow we're going to be talking to our friends in education. We want you to start the day off right with Mr. Hart and join in for the record and come back for talk today. Have a wonderful, safe, productive, and enjoyable afternoon.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And now, Barbados. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.